Good evening. The area around Gratiot and 7 Mile on Detroit's east side has been invaded by a horde of suburban dope fiends, hundreds of them, a veritable drug burbia, a greater metropolitan area, if you will. And if City Hall doesn't start paying some attention around there soon, Detroit very well may become the next San Francisco. The homeless ratio is roughly the same in Frisco as it is in Detroit. But here, you don't see the junkies flopped out on the streets. In Motown, they've taken up residence in the abandoned houses, most of which are owned by the incompetent and absentee Detroit Land Bank Authority. San Francisco, population 810,000 and falling, counted 7,700 homeless people last year. Detroit, population 630,000 and falling, claims 5,600 homeless. Surely, Detroit's number is an undercount since the data is over 2 years old and collected at the height of the pandemic. HUD requires any community that receives federal funding for homelessness to conduct a head count on a single night once every 2 years, and it's usually on the coldest night. This includes people in shelters or sleeping outdoors, in cars, in pallets, or other places not considered permanent housing. This would include those living in condemned houses, I would presume, but I've never seen a homeless head counter knocking on those doors in the dead of a frosty night. Consider Liberal Street, which ought to be renamed Laissez-faire Boulevard, since the city seems to completely ignore it. The houses are burned up, trash is everywhere, and the junkies have taken them over, and also the abandoned RVs in the alleyways. Remind yourself, regular people live here. School kids live here. The dope houses aren't hard to find. Just follow the white women with bruises on their legs or the men picking imaginary insects from their faces. One tweaker scolded me to get off his land, that he was fixing the place up for his father. I checked. The property belongs to the land bank. The legitimate longtime neighbors complain to the city. They get nothing. Their city councilman, Scott Benson, is no help. Most people around there don't even know who Scott Benson is. Those who do remember Scott Benson remember him as the guy who was raided by the FBI. And whatever happened to that, they wonder. Richard Wilson, a retired auto worker, lives on Verona Street next to an overgrown house of horrors owned by the land bank. He was forced to take a pot shot at a junkie with his 12-gauge shotgun because the junkie was trying to break into his garage. Across the street from Mr. Wilson is another dope house owned by the land bank. You know this dope house since the house is across the street from the Pulaski Elementary School. The city was shamed into boarding it up. Why the city still won't tear it down is beyond me. The ceiling has long since caved in and the walls are infected with black mold. Nobody's lived in it for a decade. In any event, land bank workers forgot to board up the detached garage, which quickly became an impromptu clubhouse for the now homeless addicts who once lived in the house. Nobody bothered to sweep the sidewalk, and so hypodermic needles still litter the driveway like so many autumn leaves. A father of one of the school kids took it upon himself to board up the garage last week. He's considered something of a hero around there now. People are talking about electing him to city council. Drug zombies, of course, are human beings. They're somebody's children. But they don't live at home anymore because their habits and behaviors have become so grotesque they had to be put out by their loved ones. And now they've taken up residence in someone else's vicinity and make perfect strangers' lives a living hell. How bad is it? There was a crack house on Saratoga Street where 7 people were shot last summer. 2 died on the lawn. Amazingly, the place was open for business 2 weeks later until again, we shamed the city. When the cops came, the addicts simply moved across the street into a land bank owned house. This shit doesn't even happen in Frisco.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's No BS News Hour with my main man, Scotty.
No bullshit!
This is just it, breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit. I'm Grace Karros, and I'm third generation of American Coney Island. People say Detroit's a comeback city. I say, where you been? We've been here for over 100 years. My family's been here on the same corner, serving our famous proprietary American Coney Island hot dog. So like always, we're keeping things fresh, updated, and new. We'd love to have you come downtown and visit us, but if you can't, you can always go to AmericanConeyIsland.com, order a Coney kit, get it delivered fresh right to your door.
Hall Financial is putting more money in your pocket with our exclusive no-fee home loan. That's right, you pay no fees to Hall Financial. So in addition to our nearly 6,000 five-star reviews and our average 9-day turn time from application to close, you now pay no fees to Hall Financial. This is going to save you up to $2,500 in fees that you'd normally pay to the other guys. Start saving now, 866-CALL-HALL, or chat with us at callhallfirst.com.
He ran out of breath at the end. Call for like, calm. You notice that? Get him to redo it.
It's for emphasis, Charlie.
Yeah, and Carol's has a nice pair of hands
I know,
there. It's
I
like
was
Hall
gonna say,
basketball
her
Hall of Fame.
basketball catch.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking when she caught that box.
And before you go anywhere, this is going to be great. Top 50 NBA player of all time, Hall of Famer, former mayor of Detroit, auto executive, philanthropist, and a founder of the NBA Union for Retirees, Dave Bing. You're going to be here telling the truth because Dave tells the truth.
Yeah, he does.
Except he won't admit that you're the best staff member he had while he was mayor.
That's because he's nice and he doesn't want to offend anybody.
But you were, weren't you?
Yeah,
I'll ask him. All right. But before we get to that, I want to welcome in my good friend Todd Bensman, the Senior National Security Fellow for the Center for Immigration Studies. Border's wild. I mean, we're getting back up to record numbers. Todd, good evening. How are you, bro?
Good, man. How are you?
Where are you? You look like you're in immigration detention yourself.
Yeah. Well, something like that. I'm in Washington, just in my hotel room. I've been in D.C. here for most of the week.
Well, that's the same with all the other migrants. They're in Washington and New York, and everybody's in a hotel, $500 a night. What's yours cost?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not paying for it. My company is. But
That's right. Now, hey, Todd, so you texted me early this morning. The news right now is about 10,000 people a day are coming. This Biden bullshit didn't work. Then it was announced Wednesday night that 500,000 Venezuelans who have come illegally since 2021 will now be granted temporary legal status. They're going to be allowed to work and move as they wish. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's correct. They get humanitarian protection so that we don't have to send them home to a country that is dangerous for them. The problem is, if I can just interject here, is that almost none of them.
Of course you can interject. That's why you're on the show. You were just interjecting on yourself. I'm just busting
the
balls.
majority
Loosen
of
up, man.
them are not coming from. They're not coming from Venezuela. They haven't lived in Venezuela in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. The vast majority of them. They've been living in 15 other perfectly safe countries. I've done a lot of reporting on that because I've interviewed so many Venezuelans, none of whom are coming from Venezuela. So we're giving them temporary protected status to prevent them from having to return to a country that they haven't lived in 8 years. It's just insane.
So
that's what we are now.
Here's the play here. This is on top of 250 million other people that were given temporary protective status in 2021. And once that was given, that's when you saw the explosion of Venezuelans come, right? I mean, basically, here's the translation in the Southern Hemisphere. Hey, man, Biden's given an amnesty. Come on up.
True. It's true. I can't tell you how many Venezuelans I've interviewed on the trail who were coming because the first TPS that was provided in 2021 told them that there'll be another one or two for me when I get in. And it's the same way with the next generation. I guarantee you there's a whole new flood of them coming because of this. And that's how it works. They're smart people.
And let me say this, just get this in order. I've met 10,000 Venezuelans in my life, and there's only 10 I didn't like. right? And if I was looking for a better life and this was the construct, I'd do it too. So let's just leave it at that. But this is a national question. It's a question of equity. It's a question of bread. It's a question of room. It's a question of how much at once. You can
Opportunity.
Yeah, you can see what's
seriously.
happening. The mayor of New York wants this because, dude, you got to let them work so we can get them the fuck out of here, right? Which is a good point. It is a good point. If everybody's here, get them working. But now we're at a time of economic uncertainty. UAW might walk. I don't know, man. This is just no way to run a border. But Todd, here, you and I'm going to give this to you, man, because I like a guy that expects his government to tell the truth. Because it was so bad in May and April, right? Record numbers again, that the Biden administration expanded the CBP one. Remember the app I was telling you all about? Where like you're going to claim asylum, just do it on the app.
Right.
And I went on the app and put my dog's picture on there and all that. Remember? All right. Well, the numbers the numbers. You missed that? I'll send it to you, dude. It's great. But I couldn't get through, so I quit. Here's what the government will tell you. The government will tell you how many apprehensions, how many people they've apprehended. They can tell you how many people they saw run in and they weren't able to get them. They can estimate how many people they didn't see. But what they won't tell you is people apprehended at the ports of entry. Like Border Patrol does the border, Customs does the ports of entry. When they release people, it's not counted. When Border Patrol or Customs gives apprehended people to ICE, they're not counted. And now my friend here, is suing the federal government. How many people are you letting in on the app? What have you heard on that, bro?
So we got a little piece of information about it. We're in litigation, having negotiations, and
Litigation.
What we got was the total number of immigrants that they allowed to fly from foreign airports into American airports directly. There is a program that they announced that they were going to give a bunch of nationalities the ability to just fly directly into the cities where they want to live. But then they just went silent on it and were hiding. It was like this big state secret. You couldn't find out how many they let fly into the country until now. So the piece that's up today says that 221,000 were approved to fly commercially into U.S. airports, and then they were released from the airports. That's of only 4 nationalities. There's another 5 nationalities that I'm after that also were allowed to fly directly into U.S. airports.
Who would they be?
I think those are going to be Ukrainians, Salvadorans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, and Colombians.
And what are the 4 that you have data for? What 4 nations?
That's the ones I have data for. The 221,000 are Cubans, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, and Haitians.
So you don't even have to come to the border now. Let's just fly right in, and you pre-state your claim of asylum, and then come on in. Now, how it used to work is this: when they say parole, if you came to the border and you said, "I'm seeking asylum," they would detain you, hold you, wait for you to hear a judge, right? And then either send you home or let you in. Parole is for medical emergencies, things of this nature, right?
Yeah, one-offs.
Okay,
just a one-off.
so what Biden has done is mass, millions, just go ahead in and, check in with us. We're going to give you a phone. We'll pay the bill. And then when we call you, come to court, which could be, we know from the guy in the terror watch list here in Dearborn, it's been 2 years now, nothing. Is that correct?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. And so here's the thing: they're sandbagging on us. I want to know, which airports are you flying them to? Name them. We know there are 43 airports inside the U.S. that they're flying them to from foreign countries. They're saying that's a law enforcement tactics and procedures issue. We don't want to divulge that because it would ruin investigations or something like that. That's what they're.
What?
I don't know. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now where they're flying in. I'll tell you right now. JFK, Miami, Detroit, probably
LAX.
Dallas or Houston, LA.
LAX.
I mean, that's pretty
yeah.
simple. But we're not talking about this. So we're talking. I'm rounding up just for math. 240,000 people by airplane. Border Patrol tells me this is what Todd's got to sue the government for. How many people are you letting in on the app? Our guy, we know him, Chris Cabrera, Border Patrol Union, says it's at least 50,000. So when you do all of that, that's 70,000 more people a month, right? You're getting close to 1 million unaccounted for people in the last, prorated, 500,000 people in the last 4 or 5 months.
So Todd, do you think they don't know there's no accountability there, or do they just not want you to know?
I think they don't want us to know. And think about it this way: in New York right now, you have the mayor, complaining loudly, screaming about all of the 100,000 migrants that are in his city that are for an unfunded burden. They got to take care of them. It's a huge political issue in the cities. And they're blaming officially Greg Abbott in Texas for busing them in. That's like totally not true. But the point is that they talk about the busing. It's always about the busing. They're busing them in. Abbott's busing them in. DeSantis is busing them in. But imagine if you're the Biden administration and you had to admit that you enabled tens of thousands to fly into JFK Airport. You have to confront the Biden administration for allowing this. And New York,
you're flying directly.
terrible.
You're flying directly from somewhere. You land. You get an Uber. You go to the Roosevelt Hotel. Right?
Yes.
There's culturally appropriate food cooked for you. There's clothing. There's Xboxes.
And who are you going to blame for that? Who are you going to complain that did that? It's going to be, you're going to have to say it's the White House did that.
Well, it is the White House. But I'm going to say this.
They don't want that out. They don't want to talk about that.
I'm on the record in this program of saying this. Listen, if we want a liberal immigration policy, okay, let's discuss it, right? We vote on it. Majority rules. We should probably start the process in the home country instead of letting the cartel profit off of this, right? It seems to me that they're doing it, but here's where I have issue. You're doing it in secret. We're not discussing it. The laws are not in place. You're countermanding what the law currently says. That's I hate sneaky fucking government.
Me too. You ditto on that. And that's really what the problem is here, is that this administration created a brand new avenue for mass numbers of immigrants to enter the country. And that is expressly a job for Congress. That is Congress's job. They pass those laws and they are elected by us. So this is the people make the new avenues through our representatives in Congress. And that didn't happen here. What happened here is somebody over at the White House said, let's come up with this thing where we just fly them in or walk them in over the ports of entry and just let them in.
I mean, you think about it. Think about people, think about Cuban Americans trying to get their loved ones over here. Think about Yemeni Americans trying to get their loved ones over here. Being in the process for that long. And then all of a sudden, there is no process.
But so then what? You have all these people come here and
where are they?
And I'm saying, so then what? Because if in fact, there's no documentation allegedly for them flying in, then there's no means or method of accountability once they're here.
Here's Todd. Hey, Todd, do we know where these people are?
No, because there's a requirement that they give their an address, and that the government verify that address before they get released. But DHS Office of Inspector General last week released this incredible report. They investigated that and found hundreds of thousands were let through without giving any address at all, or giving fake addresses to car lots and burger stands. 1234 Main Street they put in there. And so
That's
we
where Mike
don't
Duggan
have
gets his dirt.
So we have absolutely no idea where most of them are. And then furthermore, when they become illegal, they just disappear into the ether. And you come and get me, come find me. And that's kind of where we are. And, Donald Trump is, campaigning out there saying, when I'm president, we are going to track down every single one of the people that came into this country under the Biden administration, and we're going to deport them. But not so fast, because you don't know where they are. They set it up on the front end so that there's no address information.
What's the political value of them doing this? I mean, who's saying, oh, that's a good idea? Who's giving brownie points for the Biden administration for just opening the floodgates? Like, what's the point? What's the value?
Yeah, there is in the Democratic left, in the coalition, there is a very substantial and powerful progressive left that actually believes that borders and border security and deportation and detention are inhumane, cruel, and unusual, and should all be done away with. We should have no borders. They say it. This is their mantra. It's a whole theology. I have a chapter in my book titled The New Theologians, because it is a theology of no borders. Thanks for doing that, Charlie.
You got that, man. Overrun, How Joe Biden Unleashed the Greatest Border Crisis in U.S. History by Todd Bensman. It is an excellent book, and it's not crankery or partisan.
That's what I was going to say. This isn't about partisan politics. This is just about what makes sense, what is both humane and, I guess, structurally...
Sorry, you brought me
It makes sense. I was trying to see what was going on here.
Thank you for that, bro. Okay, so Todd, I know you got to prepare. You're giving a lecture tonight. Keep contacting me. I want to do a story. I want to work with you on something. Just go to YouTube, put Todd Bensman there, Center for Immigration Studies. This guy's been to the Darien Gap. This guy's been to the mountains of Guatemala. This guy has been to the trains in Mexico. The man knows his business. Okay. Okay. Thanks, man. And Christ, you look awesome.
Hey, I mean, just one last thing is. Wait, what are you saying?
Don't even ask. Keep going, Todd. Go ahead. You were saying?
I want to know now.
He said you look great. Go ahead. What were you saying?
You look awful. You look like you're being interrogated. What the hell is?
He's talking to you, Charlie. What do you think?
Go ahead, Todd.
Anyway, there is a mass migration spike underway right now. Huge numbers crossing. So when you go down to the border, or if you go down to the border, this is kind of a good time to do it, because they are doing what's called safe street releases at this point. They can't fit everybody into the processing centers, so they're just releasing them to wander around all along the borderlands. We are in crazy town again.
I might have fucked up here, though. I might have fucked up, because when we went down to Texas in December and made that video that went kind of viral now, and we walked across the Rio, that's where everybody's crossing now. I got a feeling
they were watching you.
I got a feeling I got a lot of likes in South America. Like, where do we go? Just go where the gringo went.
Yeah, it's terrible right now. Anyway, I'll let you go. Thanks.
All right, thanks, man. Be well.
All right.
And listen, Todd Bensman for is a senior national security fellow for the Center for Immigration Studies. He's brought to you by ADR Experienced. overseeing more than $250 million in private and public construction projects since the turn of the century. ADR competent, reduce your costs, increase your bottom line, cut the governmental red tape. Call Barry Ellentuck at 248-318-9424 for a consultation and get your shit fixed. When I think about all this stuff and I
Get stressed out?
I feel anxious, a lot of trouble sleeping, I go to Next Evo Naturals, CBD products. Judge, CBD products, right? Legal, completely legal. You don't test for THC, none of that, right? Do you take them to help you sleep, or the judge does? And I'm not gonna say who the judge is, but the judge is over there. He takes them every chance he gets. They help you relieve the stress and anxiety of running that docket of that major town. Making hard decisions. So don't take it from me. Take it from the judge. Next Evo Naturals. Go to nextevo.com/nobs and get 25% off a free bottle of premium pure CBD. Remember, their stress or sleep complex. That's limit one per customer because the judge,
And give us the slash.
Yeah, give us the slash. That's nextevo.com/nobs. And finally,
for how much off now? Are we up to 50% every week?
25%.
Still 25%?
25%.
Okay, that's good.
How's yours? You taking them yet?
Yes, I do take them.
And?
I'm cool.
Oh. Well,
I just sat here from.
I don't know Next Evo. I mean, I got the judges, I got relatives, I got my partner. I got narcoleptic Mark over there. He got a lot of stress and
Say
anxiety.
something? What? I was sleeping.
See?
Because of my Next Evo.
He's calm.
Does the Next Evo help you stay awake, or if you're a narcoleptic?
Well, the sleep stuff will knock you out. Because
Yeah.
when you're narcoleptic, you take medicine to keep you awake.
But do you notice?
Modafinil.
Remember?
And you want? I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Yes.
but you want a natural counterbalance. You don't want to take another pharmaceutical to bring you down.
I don't want to be like Elvis, right? He took one to wake him up, one to put him down.
I know, baby.
But do you notice that Mark? Remember how Mark used to get all flustered and I thought he was going to have a cardiac arrest and
My aneurysms?
I mean, like Mark, calm down. We don't have to tell him that anymore.
Next Evo. Now, listen, Mark, you got life insurance?
Yes.
Was it term life insurance?
I do have a term life insurance policy.
Do you have
I
more than
two.
one life?
Yeah.
You have two life insurance. Where do you get those? Who shopped those for you?
Legacy.
Legacy.
And they
Partners.
also shop my home and auto.
Bundled it.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, it's not like you got to watch pro football to know you get the
Gotta
bundle.
bundle it.
Legacy
Yeah, no
already
shit.
doing it for you. Save money. Everybody in this room except the judge is doing Legacy. That's a fact. Is that a fact, Bernie? There you go. I'm telling you. I don't know what else I got to tell you. Legacy Partner keeps an eye on your rates and continuously shops all carriers to make sure you have the best program. I saved money. I got better insurance. That's all I'm going to tell you, except 586-209-4106. Or go to Legacy Partners INS. That's short for insurance. LegacyINS.com.
Not immigration.
All right. Now, we got to get to Bing, but, the mayor. But I just gotta. I gotta. It's Dana Nessel, the incompetent attorney general again. What do we call this segment? Roll the tape.
Dum da dum dum. Dum da dum dum dum. Dum da dum dum. Dum da dum dum. Dana.
Well, old Doperino's at. Jeez. You know what? I'm just thinking back, Matt DePerno. He's now been charged for voter machine tampering. That was our Republican candidate for attorney general. And this dope was the Democratic incumbent. This is going to be like Trump Biden. I mean, nothing here, man. Okay. So anyway, dum. The Michigan Watchman. No, the Wolverine Watchman, right?
Yes.
Okay, the guys that were going to kidnap Whitmer,
Allegedly.
put her in a boat, take her to Wisconsin, try her in a barn, and imprison her for 5 years in a dog cage. Okay. And how are they going to kidnap her? Dressed as pizza guys, knocking on the door, maybe blow up the bridges around her. And all the while, the guy that supposedly had the dynamite and the guy paying all the bills for these people to meet was the FBI. Okay, you guys remember now. All right. What was it? 14 people were charged. 5 have now been acquitted. 2 had to be retried because of a hung jury. And I think there were 2 plea deals. So it was a 50-50 deal here. But no, Dana Nessel. Now, Judge, you tell me if you ever heard of an attorney general or anybody, a defense attorney, a U.S. attorney. Here's what she said. She criticized the jury, saying, quote, Antrim County jurors, it's a very, very right-leaning county, and they're seemingly not so concerned about the kidnapping or assassination of the governor. It's actually perplexing, confusing, terrifying. Have you ever heard of an attorney general criticizing a jury? No. You know what is perplexing, confusing, and terrifying?
What?
Dana Nessel.
Dum da dum dum. Dum da dum dum dum. Dum da dum dum. Dum da dum dum. Dana.
Now, Dum Dum over
There's
here
more?
is addressing an audience of very liberal people. That's where these quotations were taken from. And at the same time, she says, she's charged 16 for being fake electors. They said we were the democratically elected, and we signed this, and we put the electoral votes for Trump. So 16 of them were charged by her. Here's what she told the crowd. She said these 16 were, quote, brainwashed. That, quote, genuinely believed that Trump won. Quote, they legit believe that. They genuinely believe that, says the Attorney General. So you may have just fucked up your own case, because if this was a conspiracy to defraud and you're publicly saying there was no conspiracy to defraud, they actually believed it. Judge, how dumb is this? Is it? Go ahead, give me the dumb. Yeah.
Dum da dum dum.
Man.
Dum 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 dum. Dum da dum dum. Dum da dum dum. Dana.
Oh, but that's not all.
There's more?
Flint.
Oh, yeah.
Flint. The Supreme Court refused to hear the appeal of refused to hear Dum Dum's appeal that she used a one-man grand jury who happened to be a judge to, I know the judge is over here going, what the fuck? Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
look at the look on his
He's
face.
from out of state. I mean, this doesn't go on anywhere else. He's going, what? Used a one-man grand jury to bring criminal charges on 6 people involved in Flint, and then misdemeanors on the governor and another guy. You can't do that. The Supreme Court ruled it's unconstitutional for the judge to indict you and to sit, over you in the trial. That's ridiculous. Separation of powers. But she thought she could do it. They said, get lost. Now you're going to remember way back when I started this podcast and Dana wasn't even the nominee for the Democrats, she said publicly, I'm going to throw that case out. There were already charges. The emergency managers of that town were charged. They were cooperating. And when she opened her big mouth, they stopped cooperating, waiting to see if Dum Dum's going to blow it up, which she did. That could be obstruction of justice. I know that they've been on the show, Top Flood, Andy Arena. They had racketeering charges lined up in Flint. Dum Dum let it go because Dum Dum wanted to be political. But Dum Dum was told by the court, you drop the charges, I'm not giving you 6 months, you got 6 weeks, get it done. So they used the secret grand jury.
Wow.
Unconstitutional. Nobody did a day in jail. Nobody's going to. Now Dum Dum was trying to make a move like, we would like to release the reports and the evidence to the public.
What does that do?
Well, I FOIA'd the fucking report, the racketeering report that was written for you from the last administration, and you told me it's ongoing. Well, you better give it to me now. That's so dumb.
Dum-da-dum-dum. Dum-da-dum-dum-dum. Dum-da-dum-dum. Dum-da-dum-dum. Dana.
And finally, you said there's no reason we needed to look into the nursing homes. You said what could have been done. I don't know. That's why you investigate. I'm not saying Joe Biden's corrupt, but there's stuff you need to investigate, right? That's what you do. Get to the bottom of things. But I'm going to whisper this. I've got an atom bomb coming. I got a neutron bomb. Oh, you're going to look into those nursing homes. And that's all I can say about it. And that is what's dumb in Nestleland.
Dum da dum dum.
Yeah, that is.
Dum da dum 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 da dum dum. Dum da dum dum Dana.
Now hit me with those. We got to get the mayor on here, man. Mayor Dave Bing coming up. One of the greatest basketball players of all time. Great human being, philanthropist, businessman, auto executive, and of course, tried to land this town when it went bankrupt. Will we be going bankrupt again? Let's find out, but let's hear a word from our sponsors.
This message of Uplift is brought to you by business and personal wealth advisor Luke Nowacki, who reminds you that what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but never enter the kingdom of God? But while you're waiting, Nowacki wants you to remember that overreaction is not a sound financial strategy. So call Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748 for sound financial advice.
Well, you know, when it rains, the power goes out. And when the power goes out, the internet goes out. When the internet goes out, I call my friend Matt and Bernie at XG Service Group. Look at Bernie here on his hands and knees, giving it everything he's got. Look at that man crack. So busy, he forgot to wear a belt. There's Matt right there getting the board together. That's 734-245-4100 if you need Matt and Bernie to come take care of your voice over internet, your security cameras, off-campus access control, Wi-Fi, and cameras for homes and business. They'll design it for you. You got restaurants, they do drive-through systems, railroad cameras for public safety, total wireless camera systems for your home and business. Yeah, that's right. Call XG Services at 734-245-4100. Okay, as promised by the magic of TV, former Detroit Mayor Dave Bing, top 50 all-time NBA player, and former automotive magnate. How are you, sir?
I am great, doing well. Health is good. That's really important.
When you were the mayor until 2014 of Detroit.
Correct.
10 years ago.
Correct.
You look better. That job must have been the worst job on the planet.
It wasn't a good job. I can tell you that. It was tough times.
Why don't we just get topical here? I want to go to your automotive experience. Okay. The UAW, they're out. They're asking for the moon. And if they're out for very long, what ramifications does it have for an economy that's kind of teetering anyway?
Well, unemployment is going to go sky high. I think a lot of the small and medium-sized suppliers will probably go out of business. And from the typical big three, they're going to be hurting for a long time. They can't get product out. And I think it will not only hurt the automotive industry, but there are several industries that are very dependent upon the automotive industry. I mean, you talk all of the technology that's out there now, you talk glass, you talk steel, you talk leather. I mean, there are so many different products that go into the vehicle. All of those industries are going to be hurt.
What about like market share? I was supposed to do Fox yesterday and they stood me up, but I did a little research. You know, Biden was going to stick his nose in it and come to the picket line. And I'm like, Harry Truman, Dwight Eisenhower during the steel strikes of the 50s, right? They brought people to the White House, but that was the beginning of the end for a lot of manufacturing in the United States because we started for the first time importing steel. So if you shut down the big three's capacity to make vehicles, do you see foreign competition coming in and taking more market share?
Yeah, I think it's a major risk. There's no doubt about it. You know, you got so much competition from a global standpoint that all we're concerned about is what's happening in our country. But the market is global, and I'm sure that there would be, quote unquote, foreign companies that would want to come to the U.S. because it's a very fertile market.
Flooded, maybe.
Could be. But should that be a guilt factor on those who are picketing right now and who are striking? I mean, should they carry the guilt of the peripheral impact of a strike? or should they continue to be focused on what they're asking for?
I think they're asking for too much, number one, because if they got what they're asking for, it would cripple the OEMs and some of the major suppliers. So I think they deserve a nice bump, but not what they're asking for.
They're saying would it like add $100 an hour onto the cost of an auto worker. Do you believe that? I mean, they're asking for the moon here.
Yes, they are.
And they haven't come to the table like, all right, here's a counter. They're just, right?
Yeah. Well, they're not going to get that. I mean, I think the OEMs are smart enough that they're not going to put themselves in a death knell. And so they will keep trying to negotiate. But the problem is, I don't think Fain is listening. He hasn't been to the table personally, I understand, for quite some time. And that's not a good sign. In order for them to break through this strike, the top people have got to be at the table.
But I see the point. I see the UAW just took it up the ass since 2008. We all know. I mean, you suffered.
Yeah.
Right? You were definitely there.
Yeah.
And all the concessions that were made, like we can have the newer workers can work at half the price, and no more cost of living, and no more pension, and no more medical, and with inflation, I believe their wages have fallen 20% since 2008. I mean, when we're handing billions over to GM and to Ford and to Stellantis and now the Chinese, what position would you take if you were Sean Fanning? I'm not.
I think he's dug in pretty good. There's no question about that. And he's taken a hard position. And I don't think he really felt he was going to get what he was asking for. But he's going to hold out long enough that the workers themselves are going to get hurt because they can't afford to stay out for a length of time. And the suppliers are going to get hurt. I mean, everybody's going to get hurt here. And I do believe that they deserve a nice bump for what they gave up back in the 2000.
I just don't know where we're going because
I like his negotiation strategy, though. I mean, nobody ever asks for what they'll settle for when they're negotiating. So, I mean, he's either a psycho or he's a genius in his approach, and I guess that'll be seen based on the outcome.
Yeah, what they end up getting, right?
Yeah, let's see what they end up getting.
I don't know because I'm looking at the economy and interest rates have been jacked up like 6,000% in the last 2 years. And when you measure inflation, one of the big items is a used car. Mm-hmm. So if there aren't any new cars to buy, and you got to buy, then here we go again.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're expensive.
These are like not good days for Biden, I don't think. They're not. And let's go to your political hat. You had to crash land this plane that was on fire. Right?
Yep.
How do you compare today nationally? I know then you were looking at Detroit, but that was also a national issue.
Yeah.
I believe that without all this runaway government spending over the last 15 years, from Bush till now, all four of those presidents, that would have been a constant recession without deficit spending. How bad is it in your view?
I think it's pretty bad. I really think it's pretty bad. And
what makes you say that?
I agree that that it's going to have a very negative impact on Biden and the Democrats. I believe that. And I think we've got at some point in time, we can't continue deficit spending. You can't. Won't work.
We're there. There's no more tricks.
Yeah.
Now, I never asked you, and now you don't have to care. Are you a Democrat? Or are you a Republican, old school Republican, new school Republican, or?
I guess I'm a Democrat, but I'm open-minded to a lot of things that some of there are a couple of Republicans that I do like, and some of their positions, but I'm a Democrat.
Have you ever voted for a Republican?
I voted for, here in the state, I voted for John Engler.
Did you?
Yeah, when he was running for governor.
Rick Snyder?
No, I did not vote for Rick. and maybe he remembers that
See how
because
that turned out. Yeah, that's what I was
he,
gonna
he
say.
brought in a manager while I was in office.
Did.
Yeah.
Why'd you take that job? Here's the reporter water cooler scuttlebutt. Only you two would know. By the way, how was Karen your best cabinet member?
She was one of them for sure.
Oh, you didn't say the best.
She was one of them for sure.
The mayor is tactful and he is inclusive. He's a good leader. He would never say that because it alienates everybody else, and he wouldn't do that.
Point.
Although I'd say I probably would. That would just be me.
I'll ask him after. I'll post it later. You were supposed to get help. I think you were promised a lot of help by the business community in order to manage. I mean, we were borrowing just to make pensions, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't get that, did you?
No. I would tell you, though, the business community was supportive. Luckily, I knew Obama before he became president, and his administration was very supportive. But we were so deep in the hole that the business community, nor Obama, could really save us. And, ultimately, we had to file for bankruptcy, obviously. And, Governor Snyder, I don't think he felt very comfortable with, maybe it's my leadership, maybe it was our administration, I don't know. But he sent in an emergency manager when the city council and I and a lot of people here in the area didn't think it was necessary. If we had gotten the kind of help that was provided by Lansing or if we had gotten that kind of help, we could have managed it. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
Without going bankrupt?
No, I think we would have had to go back. I think we would have had to go bankrupt. I believe that, but I think we could have managed our way through it.
How much were you brought in? Did they put you over to the side, or were you there making decisions?
I had a good relationship with Orr.
Smart guy.
Yeah, he was an outsider coming in, didn't know anything about the city of Detroit, its politics. And he basically said to me, I'm going to take over the financial end of the business. You run the city. I'm not ready to do that. And so we met consistently almost every day, every other day, and talked about the issues, what I was supposed to do and what he was going to do. So we had a good relationship.
It was a historic time.
Yes.
It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the top three. I think.
Do you think we lost or gave up too many of our assets? The Water Authority, Belle Isle, the Convention Center, the cultural, we lost what a lot of people consider to be assets for the city. Were those losses, or were those just transitions that were necessary?
I think they were transitions that were necessary. I know that we did Belle Isle, made it a regional asset. We did at that time Cobo, made that a regional asset. The Lighting Authority was a regional asset. The water became a regional asset. So we didn't have enough money, nor did we have the borrowing capability to get the money that we needed to run the city. So we looked at this as a regional issue. And I think where we are today, a lot of those things have proved out to be the right thing.
What do you think about now? Duggan, post-bankruptcy, I'm looking at development, but no one's in the buildings. I'm looking at, last time we talked about the Stellantis makeover, the Jeep complex on the east side of town, and was promising all these jobs that aren't there. How do you, all of these things at once, look at the state of the city now?
When people say there are two Detroits, they're right. I think there are 3 or 4 areas where there've been huge investments made, and they seem to be working. But that's a very small footprint in the city of Detroit. I mean, you got 138 square miles, and you're lucky if you got 15 to 20 of those square miles where there are people, where there are things that are happening, good things that are happening. When you go back to the neighborhoods, we've done little or nothing in a lot of the neighborhoods, and that's where the majority of Detroiters live, the people who've been here for the last 30, 40, 50 years. And they're hurting. They need help. They need somebody to reach out to them and see what the needs are. I think in a lot of cases, it's more than just money. You got to pay attention. It's a huge investment that's necessary, and that most of the investments are not in our neighborhoods.
Down here.
Yes.
And there's no revenue share. I mean, I did some work. You're coming in, you know. Pre-pandemic, we haven't got the jobs back.
Yeah.
We don't have the wages, right? People aren't back to work. The revenue for the city is not keeping pace with inflation. I'm like, well, where's the miracle? You know what I mean? I see a hockey arena that doesn't share the hot dogs anymore. Oh, you were there for that.
I was.
Back when the Illiches used to share the parking and
Correct.
the tickets and
Correct.
Huh.
Yeah.
And now we pay for it all.
Yeah.
And the money's pulled from the schools.
Yeah.
That's for former Mayor Dave Ming saying that, not me. It's important. Somebody's got to say this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. You know, when you look at what's happening with our kids, the school system is still in dire need of help. Our kids are in dire need of help. And then we've got a population in Detroit, probably about 50% of our households are single parents. The woman is the head of the household. You know, in my foundation, which focuses on boys coming from a single family where the woman is the head of the household, I've learned a lot in the last 7 or 8 years in terms of how the kids have to manipulate their lives. And I mean, it's not a normal thing. I was very fortunate. I grew up in a two-parent home. I wasn't born in Detroit, but I've been in Detroit the last 50 plus years. So I've seen a lot that's going on. And right now, if we don't do something to help childcare, which is really expensive, but necessary, we're not going to get out of this anytime soon.
What is that something, though? Because I mean, from the state, from the city, everything is a lot of process. It's a lot of programs that seem to either go over the head or avoid the actual people who need the help. So when we say something needs to be done, what is that something? Because I don't think people that are making decisions either know what to do or care what to do.
Well, that's a good statement, I think. I don't know what the something is. Because it's not easy. But you got to try things. I mean, you got to think out the box. And if you make mistakes, you make mistakes. You can't sit back and continue to do the same thing that you've been doing forever and ever and expect, a different outcome. Not going to happen. So, we really got to focus on the school system. We got to focus on education. We got to focus on what we can do to make our kids feel good, because they are the future.
Like tear down a dope house across from the
Yeah,
school?
like I've been, hey, okay. We got all that demolition money. What happened to that? What dirt did they throw in the ground, right? Yes, right, you're aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got an issue there, don't we, sir?
We absolutely do. Fortunately, when I was in the administration and my team was there, we never had a big negative problem in the demolition side.
I remember because I was on your ass. You remember?
You were.
I was bird.
Yeah.
That's how I was an expert. I was bird dogging it.
Yeah. And, there are too many side deals cut. And, I had about 13 small to medium-sized companies in the demolition area. And when we changed the administration, most of those companies were kicked out the program altogether. And they're the ones that the business were in Detroit, their workers were in Detroit, and they needed that revenue to grow their businesses. But then it became, no, they're too small, they can't do this, they can't do that. So
They
let's
don't
go.
contribute to me.
Yeah, let's go with the big guys.
Right.
And we
donors.
see what's happened. We see what's happened.
And then they threw shit in the ground.
Yes. Well, whatever they threw in the ground, I agree.
Well, like I'm talking to federal authorities, and there's no record of what they put in there.
Yeah.
So see, when I see Democrats in a Democratic city talking about environmental racism, right? Like you committed it. And it's going back to these dope houses because this land bank thing that okay, you own all these houses. All the suburban dope fiends have moved into it. It's in a neighborhood around an elementary school, and the kids have to like walk over needles, and nobody wants to take these houses down. For the life of me.
We were, from a demolition standpoint, we were more focused on tearing the homes down because a lot of those homes were.
And you prioritized them around the schools.
Yeah, exactly. The schools and churches is what we looked at. And that was our focus. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, do you think the scrutiny is different of this administration than administrations of the past, including yours?
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. I will give Duggan this credit.
We'll edit this out later.
Okay. Look who he hired. You know, you had a certain segment in the media that was there when we were there. They're no longer in the media. They're working for the city of the government.
He hired all of them.
Hey, all of them have got jobs in the city of government. That's crazy. It's crazy.
He's got a ministry of propaganda. And I know a lot. He got at least a dozen former media people.
Yeah.
And where's that money coming from? We don't have any money.
Yeah. Those people are paid extremely well.
Well, better than they were. Better than they were in the media, and they have positions.
They're
no
paid
power.
what you were paid.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah, they're making a lot of money.
Well, you know, and it's a snow job. Do you see this tax plan he's got? Are you aware of it at all?
No. I can't say I know a lot about that.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to you next week. Well, we've had a Marxist economist, Grover Norquist, the conservative tax revoltist, Perry Johnson, the self-made billionaire, whatever, the quality guru. Well, that's a lot. So now we're going to have the libertarian. The former progressive mayor of Pittsburgh who got rid of this tax plan. Nobody thinks it'll work. Here's the deal. We're now going to split your taxes. There's your house and there's your property. And we're going to value your property and the house and call it the property. Okay? So from now on, anybody that's got a gigantic skyscraper is going to pay less. Anybody that builds a gigantic skyscraper won't be taxed on the skyscraper. And if you've got a little shitty piece of property, right? Your house is shitty and your land is more of the assessment, your taxes are going up. So it's for the ultra rich again. And the media
says nothing.
No, what they do is they put little old Miss Jones, you know, who Duggan pushed up there to go, I'm going to save $100.
Yeah.
Nobody asked what the billionaire's going to say.
Well, he's doing that like he did the insurance, the whole carrot before the horse. And I think people in Detroit are so starved for any degree of savings that when they hear a remote percentage of savings, they jump on it. But then you had Crane say, we don't understand this plan, but Duggan is such a great cheerleader, we support it. That's literally what they said in their editorial.
Well, it goes back to, once again, that, you know, our media has brought into a lot of the verbiage, a lot of the lip service, as opposed to being very critical in their thinking and what they print and what they put out to the public. You know, you need truth, you need honesty. And right now, nobody knows how that program is going to work.
I don't think they know either.
No big city does it. And you know, all the ambulances are smashed up again. We had to rent ambulances from Macomb County. Where's all the money?
Well, let me say this about Mr. Mayor's here, because I always say this here.
You can't call him Mr. Mayor.
I call him Mr. Mayor.
Then we're going to get flamed on Twitter.
Oh, what do I call
because the
him?
woman on Meet the Press called Trump Mr. President, and it just went crazy.
Okay, well, that's okay. But
you have to give the title back.
To who?
I don't know.
I would not call him Mayor. I refuse
call
to do
him
that.
Dave.
Okay, well, I can't. Anyway, so we talk about the things that you did that this administration came in and just assumed responsibility for, and I want to make sure that I'm correct. The lighting authority. When this administration
we did it. We started that,
walked
yes.
in and all he had to do was flip the switch. You got the business community to get new police cars and ambulances because they were running short. You brought them in. The parks and recreation, you got some corporate dollars to commit to, because you're a big proponent of making sure that recreational facilities are accessible to people in the neighborhoods.
Correct.
And the new transportation, because we went to D.C. and got the money for the new buses. I mean, and those
Did you go in an electric car?
I'm not there yet.
I'm not getting electric.
I'm not there yet.
That shit's not going to work. We don't have the grid.
No, we don't. We don't.
That's Dave being the auto magnet. Saying it's true.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, we haven't talked about Dave Bing, the basketball great. Sir, in your mind, and I think you played in the heyday, who, for you, was the greatest, besides yourself, was the greatest basketball player of your era?
I think the most talented player was Oscar Robertson. I think the most dominant player was Wilt Chamberlain. The most successful player was Bill Russell, because he won 11 championships out of 13 years. That's never going to happen again in any sport.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the kids today forget about the history, because everybody wants to be the rock stars today. Everybody talks about Curry, and he is the greatest shooter that I've ever seen. I give him that credit. He deserves it. He's earned it. Michael Jordan, a great player, no doubt about it. LeBron, people ask me to compare LeBron and Michael. Personally, I'd rather play with LeBron, because he'll give you the ball. And he runs the lane like nobody. He can finish at the basket. Michael was a better all-around scorer, no doubt about it. But, you know, you can flip a coin and have either one of them and you're going to win a championship.
Yeah, but in Michael Jordan's day, they'd knock people to the floor.
Yeah.
It was a whole different, no
different
hand
game.
checking.
Different game. Yeah.
Well, that's okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who gave you the most stress?
I would say either Oscar Robertson or Jerry West. They were the dominant players in my era. I mean, we had a lot of guards that are in the top 50 to top 75 who came from that era. There was Earl Monroe, there was Clyde Frazier, there was Pete Maravich. I mean, I could just go on and on. Sam Jones.
Dr. J in there? Did you guys overlap?
We overlapped.
Yeah,
we overlapped. But Doc was ahead of his time also. The game has changed so much now. I don't enjoy basketball as much today as I did. And I'm biased because of the era that I played in. We played the game the way it was supposed to be played. It wasn't Bird against Magic. It was the Celtics against the Lakers.
Right.
And now they have individualized everything, and I don't think that's good for the sport. And now it's become a global sport. When I played, we didn't have to worry about foreigners coming over here and play, but now they're coming and they can play.
The Germans won the world championship.
The
Germans?
Yeah, they can play. So now it's more than basketball. It's a global business.
Yes.
And the kind of money these guys are making today is, I'm happy for them, but it's outrageous. I don't think anybody deserves the kind of money that some of these players are making today. But the owners are making it, so they got to.
What's good for you? You get a pension, and if you go senile, the league will pay to have your ass wiped for you.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, it is that. We right now, as a matter of fact, I'll be going out. I was just elected to the board of directors for the Retired Players Association. Oh. So we started that 33 years ago. Oscar Robertson, Dave DeBuscher, Dave Cowens, Archie Clark, and myself. And the reason we started that was because the pre-66 players, the guys who started in 1946, had no pension. Pension didn't start until 66, so they got nothing for all that they gave to the game. So we felt that we got to do something to include these guys in the pension plan, and we fought for that, and now they participate. They also had health plan.
You sort of built the union movement.
Yeah, for the NBA. Yeah.
For the NBA. Wow,
yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
So you also are a labor guy.
Yes, I am.
But you missed my forgive the pun. You missed the layup when I said, when you get old and someone will be there to wipe your ass.
I didn't miss that.
He heard you. He ignored you.
Lem Barney, I wanted you to speak about your old friend Lem. What's going on there?
Not good. Not good.
Lions great, Lem Barney.
Yeah. Lem was one of my very best friends, 53 years together.
You guys both got drafted, showed up in town.
Yeah. Yeah, we loved the city, did everything that we could to
Went out
make
drinking
it a
together.
better place. We did a lot of stuff together, no doubt. I became a guardian 2.5 years ago for Lem. And Lem has no family in Michigan. His family is now in Houston, his 2 children, his 3 grandchildren, his ex-wife. I asked the judge, I don't think I bring any value to the table. I'm in Michigan, and Lem is now in Houston. We need a guardian in Houston to help and take care of Lem.
So there's a dispute between his 2 families, right?
Yeah.
His first wife's family and his second
Yeah.
wife's family.
Yeah.
And he's with whom?
He's in the hospital now.
Oh.
Yeah. And not doing well.
And they want you to be the guardian, just to look out for his affairs?
Correct.
Or do they want you to look out for him?
Both.
Well, how's he going to do that?
I can't. It
He
has
could barely
to be,
get up those stairs.
It has to be transferred. Has to be transferred to Texas. And Lem is bedridden now, and because they're not doing everything that they should be doing for him, he's got bad sores, and that's not good.
Oh, no.
That's not good at all.
That's like elder abuse.
Hey, yeah,
No way.
yeah. But it's just tough. It's tough for me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, tough for me. Yeah, it's my guy.
But it's your integrity that they want to oversee it. It's not a matter of your presence. It's a matter of it's a level of character and integrity that they know that they can't get anyplace else. So
If thinking about somebody constitutes a prayer, I've already given him one.
Great.
I'm sad to hear that.
Great.
I wish him well.
Good.
I hope you can work that out.
Yeah.
Now we'll let you get out of here, get to your dinner, but real quick, last one, if that's okay, because it came up. How did you like the state of Michigan's, the governor's treatment of the elderly in the nursing home during COVID? What's your opinion on that?
Negative.
This guy's honest.
Negative. Things were glossed over, things were hidden, and a lot of the elderly people died unnecessarily.
People weren't counted. They didn't address. They made us all stay home to protect them, and then we found out they weren't even looking out for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anytime you want to come back, or if you want to be fill-in host, because we seem to agree on everything.
Well, look, I appreciate you all and what you do for the citizens here in the city of Detroit and this area, because you may not always be right in your opinion in some of the positions that you take, but you're honest. And you say what you believe, you say what you think. You guys, we need more podcasts. We need more media people like you all.
Boy, he's changed his tune, because look at...
no.
Wait, no,
'Cause
wait,
oh.
It says, not a fan of the show, Mayor Dave Bain.
Not this show, Charlie.
No.
My whole show.
That wasn't this show. That was that was before I joined you. That was before then. But no, the mayor used to always say, Charlie does his homework. That was what we always said internally. When you came to the table, when you came asking for something, you had done your homework. You weren't cherry picking. You weren't reaching for anything. You knew what you were looking for.
I'm going to agree. Thank you for that.
You did.
I do my homework. I might not reach the right conclusion, but I'm trying to get there. And if you can show me where it's at, I'll go there.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask.
That's all we can ask, correct.
all you can
I
ask.
agree with that.
Otherwise, we don't have a society.
That's true.
All right. Thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Always good to see you. Okay.
Thank you,
to
Mr.
see
Mayor.
Good to
See you next Thursday. Look for me on Chris Cuomo Tuesday night. We're all going to East Palestine, see what the hell's going on. So
I'm his therapist.
Oh, my God.
I'll put him on the phone if he's starting to crack.
Okay, I want to make sure he's okay.
All right. We'll see you next week.